It was a quiet evening in a small town, and a police officer was carrying out his usual patrol. The sun had nearly disappeared beyond the horizon, leaving the sky painted in shades of orange and purple. The roads were mostly empty, and everything seemed peaceful. As he drove along a narrow road that ran beside a dense forest, he enjoyed the calmness of the night. The sound of insects filled the air, and the tall trees cast long shadows across the road. Suddenly, a young man burst out from between the trees. The officer slammed on the brakes. The young man stumbled onto the road, breathing heavily. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with terror, as if he had seen something unimaginable. "Officer, please," he cried. "You have to come with me. There's been a murder in the forest." A chill ran down the officer's spine. The young man looked genuinely frightened. Without wasting any time, the officer stepped out of his vehicle and followed him into the woods. The deeper they went, the darker the forest became. The branches overhead blocked most of the fading sunlight, creating an eerie tunnel of shadows. Dry leaves crunched beneath their feet as they walked. The officer kept his flashlight pointed ahead, but the darkness seemed to swallow the beam. As they moved farther into the forest, the officer couldn't shake the strange feeling that they were being watched. Every now and then, he glanced around, expecting to see someone hiding behind the trees, but there was nothing, only silence. After several minutes of walking, the young man suddenly stopped. He pointed toward a small mound of freshly disturbed earth. "It's there," he whispered. The officer looked at the mound. Something about it immediately felt wrong. "Are you sure?" he asked. The young man nodded slowly. The officer approached the spot and knelt down. His heart was beating faster now. Taking a small shovel from his patrol vehicle's emergency equipment, which he had carried with him, he began digging. The soil was loose. As the dirt piled beside him, his hands started to tremble. This was the first time he had ever investigated something this disturbing on his own. The young man stood silently nearby, watching. The only sounds were the shovel cutting into the earth and the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. Then suddenly, the officer's shovel struck something solid. He froze. A cold sensation washed over him. Carefully, he brushed away the dirt with his hands. What he saw made his stomach tighten. A human arm. There was no doubt about it. A body had been buried there. Shocked, the officer immediately turned around to question the young man. But the moment he looked up, his blood ran cold. The young man was gone, completely gone. The officer jumped to his feet and scanned the forest. "Hey!" he shouted. No answer. He searched between the trees with his flashlight. Nothing. There was no sound of footsteps, no movement, no sign that anyone had ever been there. It was as though the young man had vanished into thin air. The officer's breathing became heavier. How could someone disappear so quickly? And more importantly, how had that young man known exactly where the body was buried? The officer considered leaving immediately and calling for backup, but his curiosity got the better of him. He needed answers. Gathering his courage, he returned to the grave and continued digging. Minute by minute, more of the body became visible. The deeper he dug, the more uneasy he felt. An overwhelming sense of dread settled over him. Finally, the body was completely uncovered. The officer raised his flashlight and shined it on the corpse's face. For a moment, his mind refused to process what he was seeing. Then the horrifying truth hit him. His entire body went rigid. His hands began to shake uncontrollably. The corpse lying in the grave was the very same young man who had led him into the forest. The same pale face, the same clothes, the same terrified expression. It was him. The officer staggered backward in disbelief. That was impossible. He had spoken to the young man. He had followed him through the woods. He had watched him standing beside the grave only moments ago. Yet there he was, lying dead beneath the earth. Suddenly, an icy wind swept through the trees. The forest, which had been silent all evening, seemed to come alive with strange whispers. The officer turned slowly. For a brief second, standing between the trees, illuminated by the pale moonlight, was the young man. He wasn't smiling. He simply looked at the officer with sad eyes. Then he slowly raised a hand and pointed deeper into the forest. As quickly as he appeared, he vanished again. The officer stood frozen. What did it mean? Was the young man trying to tell him something? Was the killer still out there? Or had the restless spirit returned to make sure his body would finally be found?